Lunch. Via had warned me about lunch in middle school, so I guess I should have known it would be hard. I just hadn't expected it to be this hard. Basically, all the kids from all the 5th grade classes poured into the cafeteria at the same time, talking loudly and bumping into one another while they ran to different tables. One of the lunchroom teachers said something about no seat saving allowed, but I didn't know that was what she meant. Maybe no one else did either, because just about everybody was saving seats for their friends. I tried to sit down at one table, but the kid next to the chair said, "Oh, sorry, but somebody else is sitting there." So I moved to an empty table and just waited for everyone to finish stampeding in the lunchroom teacher to tell us what to do next. As she started telling us the cafeteria rules, I looked around to see where Jack Will was sitting, but I didn't see him. He wasn't on my side of the room. Kids were still coming in, and teachers started calling the first few tables to get their trays and stand in line at the counter. Julian, Henry, and Miles were sitting at the table toward the back of the room. Mom had packed me a cheese sandwich with graham crackers and a juice box, so I didn't need to stand in line when my table was called. Instead, I just concentrated on opening my backpack, pulling out my lunch bag, and slowly opening the aluminum foil wrapping my sandwich. I could tell I was being stared at without even looking up. I knew that people were nudging each other and watching me out of the corners of their eyes. I thought I was used to those kinds of stares by now, but I guess I wasn't. There was one table of girls. I knew they were whispering about me because they were talking behind their hands. Their eyes and whispers kept bouncing over to me. I hate the way I eat. I know how weird it looks. I had a surgery to fix my cleft palate when I was a baby, and then the second cleft surgery and when I was 4, but I still have a hole at the roof of my mouth. And even though I had a jaw alignment surgery a few years ago, I have to chew food from the front of my mouth. It didn't even realize how this looked until I had a birthday party once, and one of the kids told me the mom at the birthday boy didn't want to sit next to me because it was too messy with all the food crumbs shooting out of my mouth. I know the kid wasn't trying to be mean, but he got a big trouble later, and his mom called my mom that night to apologize. When I got home from the party, I went to the bathroom mirror and started eating a saltine cracker to see what it looked like when I was chewing. The kid was right. I eat like a tortoise. If you've ever seen a tortoise eating, like some prehistoric swamp thing, that's how I eat. The summer table. "Hey, is this seat taken?" I looked up, and a girl I never saw before standing across from the table, a lunch tray full of food. She had a very long brown wavy hair, and it wore a brown t-shirt with a purple peace sign on it. "Oh, no," I said. She put her lunch on the tray on the table and plopped her backpack on the floor and sat down across from me. She started to eat her mac and cheese on her plate. "Ugh," she said, swallowing the first bite. "I should have brought a sandwich like you did." "Yeah," I said, nodding. "My name's Summer, by the way. What's yours?" "August." "Cool. Summer." Another girl came over to the table carrying a tray. "Why are you sitting here? Come back to the table." "It was too crowded," Summer answered. "Come sit here. There's more room." The other girl looked confused for a second, and I realized she had been one of the girls I caught looking at me just a few minutes earlier, with her hand cupped over her mouth, whispering. I guess Summer had been one of the girls at the table, too. "Never mind," said the girl, leaving. Summer looked at me, shrugged, and smiled, and she took another bite of her mac and cheese. "Hey, our names are kind of matched, don't they?" she said as she chewed. I guess I could tell I didn't know what she meant. "Summer. August?" she said, smiling, her eyes wide, and she waited for me to get it. "Oh, yeah," I said after a second. "We can make this a summer-only lunch table," she added. "Only kids with summer names can sit here. Let's see. Is there anyone else? June or July?" "There's Maya," I said. "Technically, May is spring," Summer answered, "but if she wanted to sit here, we could make an exception." She says if she actually thought the whole thing through. "Then there's Julian. I guess that's the name Julia from July." I didn't say anything. There's a kid named Reed in my English class, I said. Yeah, I know Reed. But how is Reed a summer name? She asked. Oh, I don't know, I shrugged. I just picture like a reed of grass being a summer thing. Oh, yeah, okay, she nodded, pulling out her notebook. And Mr. Petosa could sit here too. He kind of sounds like the word petal, which I think is summer thing too. I have her for homeroom, I said. I have her for math, she answered, making a face. She started writing a list of names, second to last page of her notebook. So, who else? She added. By the end of lunch, we came up with a whole list of names and kids and teachers who could sit at our table if they wanted. Most of the names weren't actually summer names, and they were names that had some sort of connection to summer. I even found a way of making Jack Will's name work by pointing out that you could turn his name into a sentence about summer. Jack will go to the beach, which Summer agreed, and it worked fine. But if someone doesn't have a summer name and wants to sit with us, she said very seriously, we'll still let them if they're nice, okay? Okay, I nodded. Even if it's a winter name? Cool beans, she said, giving me a thumbs up. Summer looked like her name. She was tan, and her eyes were green, like leaves. 1 to 10. Mom always had a habit of asking me how something felt on a scale of 1 to 10. It started after I had my jaw surgery when I couldn't talk because my mouth was wired shut. They had taken a piece of bone from my hip bone and inserted it into my chin to make it look more normal. So I was hurting in a lot of different places. Mom would point to one of my bandages and I would hold up my fingers to show her how much it was hurting. 1 meant a little bit, 10 meant so much. And she could tell the doctor, and he made his rounds and needed adjusting of things like that. Mom got very good at reading my mind sometimes. After that, we got into a habit of doing this 1 to 10 scale on anything that hurt. Like if I just had a plain old sore throat. Okay, she'd ask, 1 to 10, and I'd say 3, or whatever it was. When school was over, I went outside to meet Mom, who was waiting for me in the entrance, like all the other parents or babysitters. The first thing she said after hugging me, so, how was it? 1 to 10. 5, I said, shrugging, which I could tell totally surprised her. Wow, she said quietly. That's even better than I hoped for. Are we picking Via up? Miranda's mother is picking her up today. Do you want me to carry your backpack, sweetness? She said, starting walking through the crowd of kids and parents, most of them whom were noticing me secretly pointing out me to each other. I'm fine, I said. It looks too heavy, Augie. She started to take it from me. Mom, I said, pulling my backpack away from her, and I walked in front of her through the crowd. See you tomorrow, August. It was Summer. She was walking in the opposite direction. Bye, Summer, I said, waving at her. As soon as we crossed the street and we were away from the crowd, Mom said, Who was that, Augie? Summer. Is she in your class? I have lots of classes. Is she in any of your classes? Mom said. I don't know. Mom waited for me to say something else, but I just didn't feel like talking. So, it went okay? Asked Mom. I could tell she had a million questions and she wanted me to ask me. Everyone was nice? Did you like your teachers? Yeah. How about the kids that you met last week? Were they nice? Fine, just fine. Jack hung out with me a lot. Oh, that's so great, sweetie. What about the boy Julian? I thought about Darth Sidious's comment, but now it felt like that had happened 100 years ago. He was okay, I said. And what about that blonde girl? What was her name? Charlotte, Mom. I said everyone was nice already. Okay, Mom answered. I honestly don't know what kind of mad at Mom. I was kind of mad at Mom, but I was. We crossed Amherst Avenue, and she didn't say anything else until we turned onto our block. So, Mom said, how did you meet Summer if she wasn't in any of your classes? We sat together at lunch, I said. I started kicking a rock between my feet like it was a soccer ball, chasing it back and forth across the sidewalk. She seems very nice. Yeah, she is. She's very pretty, Mom said. Yeah, I know, I answered. We're kind of like Beauty and the Beast. I didn't want to see Mom's reaction. I just started running down the sidewalk after the rock, which had kicked it as hard as I could in front of me. Padawan. That night I cut off my little braid on the back of my head. Dad noticed first. "Oh, good," he said. I never liked that thing. Via couldn't believe I had cut it off. "That took you years to grow," she said, almost like she was angry. "Why did you cut it off?" "I don't know," I answered. "Did someone make fun of it?" "No." "Did you tell Christopher you were cutting it off?" "We're not even friends anymore." "That's not true," she said. "I can't believe you would just cut it off like that," she added snottily, and then practically slammed my bedroom door shut when she left the room. I was snuggling with Daisy on my bed when Dad came in to talk to me later. He scooched Daisy over gently and lay down next to me on the blanket. "So, Augie Doggie," he said. "It was totally an okay day?" He got up from that old cartoon out of the Dachshund named Augie Doggie. By the way, he had bought it for me on eBay when I was about 4. When he watched it a lot for a while, especially in the hospital, he would call me Augie Doggie, and I would call him dear old Dad, like the puppy called his Dachshund Dad in the show. "Yeah, it was totally okay," I said, nodding. "You've been so quiet all night." "Yeah, I guess I'm tired." "It was a long day, huh?" I nodded. "But it really was okay." I nodded again. I didn't say anything after a few seconds. I said, "It was better than okay, actually." "That's great to hear, Augie," he said, quietly kissing my forehead. "So it looks like it was a good call that Mom made? You're going to school?" "Yeah. But I could stop going if I wanted to, right?" "Well, that was the idea, yes," he answered. "Though I guess it would depend on why you wanted to stop going, too, you know. You'd have to let us know. You'd have to talk to us and tell us how you're feeling and if anything bad was happening. Okay? Can you promise you'll tell us?" "Yeah." "So if I ask you something, are you mad at Mom or something? You've been kind of huffy with her all night long, you know, Augie." I'm not. I'm as much to blame for sending you to school as she is." "No, she's way more to blame. It was her idea," I say. Mom knocked on the door just then and perked her head into the room. "Just want to say goodnight," she said. She looked kind of shy for a second. "Hi, Mama," Dad said, picking up my hand and waving at her. "I heard you cut off your braid," Mom said to me, sitting down on the edge of the bed next to Daisy. "It's not a big deal," I answered quickly. "I didn't say it was," said Mom. "Why don't you put Augie to bed tonight?" Dad said to Mom, getting up. "I've got some work to do anyways. Good night, my son." My son. That was another part of our Augie Doggie routine, though I wasn't in the mood to say good night, dear old Dad, dear old Dad. "I'm so proud of you," said Dad when he walked out of the bedroom. Mom and Dad had always taken turns putting me to bed. I know it was a little babyish of me to still need them to do that, but that's how it always was. "Will you check on Via?" Mom said to Dad as she lay down next to me. He stopped by the door and turned around. "What's wrong with Via?" "Nothing," said Mom, shrugging. "At least she wouldn't tell me, but the first day of high school and all that." Said Dad, and he pointed his finger at me and winked. It was something he always did. "It's always something with you kids, isn't it?" he said. "Never a dull moment," said Mom. "Never a dull moment," Dad repeated. "Good night, guys." As soon as he closed the door, Mom pulled out the book she'd been reading me for the last couple weeks. I was relieved because I really was afraid she'd want to talk, and I just didn't feel like doing that. But Mom didn't seem to want to talk either. She flipped through the pages and got to the part where we let off. We were about halfway through The Hobbit. "Stop! Stop!" shouted Thorin. Mom was reading aloud. But it was too late. The excited dwarves wasted their last arrows, and now the bows of Beren had given them were useless. They were a gloomy party that night, and the gloom gathered still deeper in them as they followed the days. They had crossed the enchanted stream, but beyond that path seemed to straggle on just as before, and in the forest they could see no change. I'm not sure why, but all of a sudden I started to cry. Mom put the book down, wrapped her arms around me. She didn't seem surprised that I was crying. "It's okay," she whispered in my ear. "It'll be okay." "I'm sorry," I said between snuffles. "Shh," she said, wiping my tears with the back of her hand. You have nothing to be sorry about. Why do I have to be so ugly, Mommy? I whispered. No, baby, you're not. I know I am. She kissed me all over her face. She kissed my eyes. It came down too far, and she kissed my cheeks, and that looked pinched in. She kissed my tortoise mouth, and then she said soft words that I know she meant to help me. But words can't change my face. Wake me up when September ends. The rest of September was hard. I wasn't used to getting up so early in the morning. I wasn't used to the whole notion of homework. And I got my first quiz at the end of the month. I never got quizzes before. When Mom homeschooled me, I didn't know how I had any free time anymore. Before I was able to play whenever I wanted to, but now it felt like I always had stuff for school to do. And being at school is awful in the beginning. Every new class I had, like a new chance for kids to not stare at me. They would sneak peeks from me from behind their notebooks, or they thought I wasn't looking. They would take the longest way around me to avoid bumping into me in any way, like I had some germ they could catch, like my face was contagious. In the hallways, which were always crowded, my face would always surprise some unsuspecting kid who maybe hadn't heard about me, and the kid would make a sound, and then you make when you hold your breath before you go underwater, a little like sound. This happened maybe 4 or 5 times a day. The first few weeks on the stairs in front of the lockers in the library, 500 kids in the school, eventually every one of them was going to see my face at some time. And I knew after the first couple of days that word had gotten around about me, because every once in a while I'd catch a kid elbowing his kids when they passed me, or talking behind their hands as I walked by them. I can only imagine what they were saying about me. Actually, I prefer not to even imagine it. I'm not saying they were doing anything that was really mean, in a mean way. By the way, not once did any kid laugh or make noises or do anything like that. They were just being normal, dumb kids. I know that. I kind of wanted to tell them that. Like, it's okay. I know I'm weird looking. Take a look. I don't bite. Hey, the truth is, if a Wookiee started going to school all of a sudden, I'd be curious. I'd wonder, I'd stare a bit. And if I was walking with Jack or Summer, I'd probably whisper to them, hey, there's the Wookiee. And if the Wookiee caught me saying that, he'd know I wasn't trying to be mean. I was just pointing out the fact that he's a Wookiee. It took about 1 week for the kids in my class to get used to my face. These were the kids I'd see every day in all my classes. It took about 2 weeks for the rest of the kids in the grade to get used to my face. These were the kids I'd seen in the cafeteria, yard time, PE, library, and computer class. It took about 1 month for the rest of the kids in the entire school to get used to it. These were the kids in all the other grades. They were the big kids. Some of them had crazy haircuts. Some of them had earrings in their noses, and some of them had pimples. None of them looked like me. Jack Will. I hung out with Jack at homeroom, English, history, computer, music, science, and which were all the classes we had together. The teachers assigned seats in every class, and I ended up sitting next to Jack in every single class. So I figured either the teachers were told to put me and Jack together, or it was totally an incredible coincidence. I walked to class with Jack, too. I know he noticed kids staring at me, but he pretended not to notice. One time, though, on our way to history with his huge 8th grader was zooming down the stairs 2 steps at a time, accidentally bumped into us at the bottom of the stairs and knocked me down. And the guy helped me stand up, and he got a look at my face, and without even a meaning to, he just said, "Whoa!" Then he patted me on the shoulder like he was dusting me off and took off after his friends. For some reason, me and Jack started cracking up. "That guy made the funniest face," said Jack as we went down to our desk. "I know, right?" I said. He was like, "Whoa." I swear, I think he wet his pants. We were laughing so hard that the teacher, Mrs. Roach, came up to ask us to settle down. Later, after we finished reading about how ancient Sumerians built sundials, Jack whispered, "Do you ever want to beat those kids up?" I shrugged. I guess. I don't know. I'd want to. I think you should get a secret squirt gun or something and attach it to your eye somehow. And every time someone stares at you, you could squirt them in the face. With some green slime or something, I answered. No, no, no. Like with slug juice mixed with dog pee. Oh, yeah, I said, completely agreeing. Guys, said Mrs. Roach from across the room, people are still reading. We nodded and looked down at our books. Then Jack whispered, are you always going to look that way, August? I mean, can't you get plastic surgery or something? I smiled and pointed to my face. Hello. This is after plastic surgery. Jack clapped his hand over his forehead and started laughing hysterically. Dude, you should sue your doctor, he answered between giggles. The time the two of us were laughing so much we couldn't stop, even after Mrs. Roach came over and made us both switch chairs with the kids next to us.